template, an ordinance beyond. We're good.
Good evening, and welcome to the May 28th Board of Aldermen meeting. I now call this meeting to order and would ask everyone to rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would ask the city clerk to call the roll for attendance.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Harder.
Here.
Alderman Hughes. Here. Alderman Kinsella.
Here.
Alderman Murphy.
Here.
Alderman Schwer.
Here.
Alderman Steinhubel.
Here.
And Alderman Wiesenhand.
Here.
Mayor Ream is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Relative to the minutes from our last meeting on May 13th, I seek a motion and second to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And no public hearings. I seek a motion and second to approve my appointment of Alderman John Steinhubel to Public Works Commission Chairman.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It was close. I would recognize the board's opportunity to select an acting president for the Board of Aldermen. Alderman Wiesenhand.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I've enjoyed serving as board president this past year, but I'd like to nominate Alderman Allen to serve as the board president this year.
Thank you. And Alderman Hughes.
I wanted to announce that the next meeting of the Architecture Review Board will be on Monday, June the 3rd at 5:30 here in the Municipal Center. All welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do I need a second?
Yes,
Thank you. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Sue. Look forward to working with you again.
Very good.
And thank you, Fritz, for your service. Very much. All right, now, if there's any other member of the board have any commission meetings they wish to opine on? Alderman Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few short ones from Parks and Trails. Parks and Trails Commission was very pleased to see another large crowd at the concert in Town Square on Friday, May 17th. Attendance was estimated as high as 1,000 people. So special thanks to Mission Taco for their sponsorship and the Rock Opera for having a great set that night, and also for some of our local community and residential areas for bringing people in. There will be another concert June 21st from 7 till 9. More details on that to follow. Another item of interest for all, I'm sure, is the Longview Playground update. The construction has been impacted by some rainy days, but the team is moving along, and we still anticipate opening the playground to the public in June, weather permitting. Thank you.
Who comment also, it was a wonderful evening, it was a wonderful crowd. And I have to give Ann and her group credit for consistently coming up with entertainment that's fun to listen to. You know, that really, I don't know anybody who goes to those that doesn't have a great time. So good work on that. And Alderman Weezand.
Thank you. We had the Police Fire and EMS Commission last week. It was a good meeting. Importantly, we also had several promotions that we discussed, as well as life saving awards. So I think that was a good meeting overall. And really happy and proud of the police department that we have.
I second that. I think I was there for the promotion, and it was a wonderful little ceremony. It really is. We do have a police department, I think, second to none. Sean, do you have a report?
No report tonight.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to unfinished business. Bill number 24-21, sponsored by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2421 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure not enumerated in the code, a detached garage covered patio located at 18 Williamsburg Estates Drive in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. I see a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion or amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Kinsella?
Yes.
Alderman Allen?
Yes.
Alderman Steinhebel?
Yes.
Alderman Weezingham?
All right.
Alderman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Schwer?
Aye.
Alderman Hughes?
Aye.
And Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4629.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-22, same sponsors. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2422 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool house located at 13650 Clayton Road in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. I seek a motion and second to approve. Second. Any discussion or amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Hughes?
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella?
Aye.
Alderman Weezingham?
Aye.
Alderman Murphy?
Aye.
Alderman Allen?
Aye.
Alderman Schwer?
Aye.
And Alderman Steinhebel.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4630.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-23, also by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2423 is an ordinance approving the fourth amended final site development plan for the development known as Town and Country Crossing, located at 1000 Town and Country Crossing Drive, with conditions to be complied with and authorizing certification of the amended final site development plan.
Thank you. I seek a motion and second to approve. Second. Any discussion or amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Hughes?
Nay.
Alderman Steinhebel?
Aye.
Alderman Allen?
Aye.
Alderman Schwer?
Aye.
Alderman Murphy?
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella?
Aye.
Alderman Weezingham?
Aye.
And Alderman Harder.
Aye.
The bill passes 7-1 and becomes ordinance number 4631.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-24, also by Alderman Kinsella and Harder. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2424 is an ordinance approving a record plat for South Woods Mill Estates in the city of Town and Country and authorizing the record plat to be recorded in the office of the Recorder of Deeds of St. Louis County.
Thank you. I see a motion and second to approve. So moved. Second. Any discussion or amendment? Alderman Murphy.
Yes, I actually do have a couple of questions, Ryan. Really relates to the traffic flow and all that. So this is an interesting area where it kind of butts up to Salt Mill Road as well.
Correct.
It extends. Has there been discussion about opening that pathway up, or is it still going to be, right now it looks like it's closed with just a walkway?
Correct. It's been, I don't know how long it's been closed. My understanding is that it was closed at the request of the neighbors many, many years ago. It actually would be convenient for the city to have it open because our facility is right there and we can operate more efficiently. But that was my understanding, is that it was closed because of citizen.
I guess my only other question is, as part of this discussion, I know it's early on in the process, have they talked about sound barriers? Because it does go right up to 140.
Again, That question has come up in the past. Residents have requested sound barriers. My understanding is that it doesn't merit, or I should say meet the standards of sound barriers as determined by MoDOT based on a sound study. Because these houses are coming in after the highway has been built.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion on that? And that's the city clerk for roll call vote.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
Alderman Weasahan.
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhubel.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Harder.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
And Alderman Hughes.
Nay.
The bill passes 7-1 and becomes ordinance number 4632.
Thank you. Next bill number 24-25. One of the orders of full without objection. Will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2425 is an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 405, the zoning regulations of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the amendment of Section 405.1710.a and Section 405.1710.b regarding planned non-residential developments.
Thank you. I seek a motion and second to approve. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. At this point, I would like to invite Spencer to the podium to share some additional information.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to mention the memo supplement that was provided for this meeting. Staff wanted to address two specific subjects that were raised following the previous meeting. One is the application of the TNRD as a workaround to allow for higher density residential. Staff would point out it's the appropriate mechanism in this scenario. It's a geographically limited planned development district. It applies to 4 properties in town. Only one property, in this case, Woodville Center property, is redevelopable. The other 3 are occupied office building, Northwest corner 141 and 64, an occupied Mercy Medical Office building, TC Commons, and then the recently opened Encompass Rehab Hospital. Those are the other 3 properties that the residential exception, which is built into the PNRD, applies to. Second issue is the question of a restaurant, one restaurant being inadequate as a replacement for former existing restaurants. And it's true that there have been several longstanding restaurants in the facility, 2 to 3, most recently Massa's, which closed, but was open for about 15 years. Dave's World Famous, which is still open for many years. However, the sales tax generated by the existing restaurants is quite low for the existing center. And a new restaurant, if built in the size configuration, would equal or exceed based on other restaurants in town, similar restaurants in town, such as Minio's and Cleveland Cocktail, like Duffy's. So there is a need for a restaurant. There's adequate need that's been demonstrated by what's there. But one restaurant of the size configuration should meet or exceed the revenue that's generated by those restaurants.
Thank you.
And there's several tables and charts in the memo that point to that.
Thank you. Any other discussion or amendment? Alderman Weasahan.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question for Mr. Spencer. Pertaining to some of the code changes, the wording change, I know we've had a lot of conversation, and I guess the part that I'm struggling with is the changing under the types of plan development. There's the change that the existing, I'm just going to read both just to compare. The existing code states that a plan development that is primarily residential shall adhere to regulations established by Article 14, planned residential community. The proposed changes is a plan development that is single-family residential and does not contain non-residential uses shall adhere to regulations established by Article 14, planned residential. what was the intent prior to this, if, for something that was primarily residential? I mean, how would you define primarily?
The intent was for a development that's overwhelmingly residential to use PRC. As I explained at the Planning and Zoning Commission at the previous meeting, the PRC is only eligible for a 100% wholly residential planned development. So this change is just adding specificity to that wording. Primarily is a somewhat ambiguous term, and staff's intent was to be very specific in that if it's 100% residential that goes the PRC route, if it's got any kind of mix of use, then here's your mechanism. In this case, PNRD or any of our other special point districts.
And I know this, we've talked about this as well. Is there, when there's a comparison of the green space to other municipalities, green space reduction, the minimums to go from 50 to 40, and there's comparisons for Chesterfield and Creveport and others. When that's compared to other mixed uses, other mixed uses in other municipalities, how is that applied as far as their standards go of what their uses would be, their maximums? For example, I think Chesterfield has a 35 or 40% green space for their mixed use, but they have a capacity, or they have a minimum of 20% residential, 20% commercial, 20% office, to where there's not one use that can overtake any other use. And
So this is a question about land uses, not green space? Is that, you're asking about?
both. I mean, the green space was, that point of comparing the green spaces kind of opened me up to go look at the other municipalities just to see what when it states the 40% or 35% for Chesterfield was for commercial. I mean, the commercial use for a 40% here, I think that was intended because our existing commercial developments would struggle to replace what they have at 50%. And so that's what I'm trying to ask, how is this going to apply now that this is also encompassing a mixed use residential aspect?
Right.
What is the capacity of putting a limit on the number of any type of use in this mixed use development?
I would just fall back on what I've been saying the last few months, which is a planned development district is not prescriptive. It's not one size fits all. It's a context-based solution to unusual, irregular properties. Chesterfield may have this percentage minimums for mix, and that's fine, and we could have that too. But once you start putting in buffers and minimums and maximums, it's no longer really a planned development anymore. It becomes more prescriptive. And then you're running into issues of variances, or this doesn't work, therefore, well, let's just do a brand new zoning district, which is what's happened in the past. Staff's intent is, let's use the mechanisms we have on paper, and the PNRD with residential exception fits this project. You could certainly put a percentage on it, but obviously that would kill this specific project that follows it. And as I stated before, the PNRD really only applies to this property. So it doesn't, in staff's opinion, I don't see a benefit to putting an arbitrary percentage, 20, 30, 40%, 50, whatever it is, on commercial and residential. To me, every project stands on its own merits, and whatever unique benefits, public benefits that it's providing.
No, and I appreciate that. And I mean, putting a capacity would impact the proposal on tonight as well. But I mean, the same conversation or argument would be if this ordinance doesn't pass it, it would also impact the outcome of that. And then,
I would confer with legal. There are a number of, like, for instance, green space, we're changing it from 50 to 40. This board can, if it remained 50, the board can waive 50. That's one of those, criteria that
could it waive
The board.
part of the,
it could not waive the resident, the mix, the total, having more than one non-residential use. That would be something they would need to get a variance for, show hardship. Obviously, that would start the process over.
okay. I personally, I'd like to propose a continuance of this ordinance until the next meeting, June 10th. Just that it gives some more time to get a better understanding of this, the change on this ordinance and how it would impact the proposal and get a better, clear understanding what it is that we're changing.
If that's a formal motion, you'll need a second.
I'd make a motion.
Second.
On this amendment, any other discussion?
So just so everyone's clear and on the same page with me, you're currently gonna discuss or vote on a continuance of this item to the next meeting, which is June 10th. And that's a voice vote, so you can all in favor.
All in favor then of continuing this till our next meeting in 2 weeks, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
So you may wish to ask me to do a roll call vote.
Good, I think it seemed like there were a couple abstentions, so we want to have a roll call vote.
Alderman Weezahan,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Nay.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Harder,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderman Steinhubel.
Aye.
And Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
It carries 6-2, so it will be continued to 6-10.
Thank you. Thank you, Miranda. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's appropriate or not. Is there some direction that can give the staff in terms of providing the information that's needed? And maybe it can be done offline, I don't know, but I would just ask for some direction to provide information to all of you to help with the decision making.
Yeah, just to follow up on some of the points that I discussed, understanding how, the difference between what we have on the code and, again, just reading the code that we have, of saying a planned development that is primarily residential implies that it's not 100% residential.
Okay.
So that, just trying to understand what the intent was of having it primarily that we're changing from, how to go forward, what we can use with it.
I think I know what I need to find for you.
Okay.
And I have a question then for the city attorney.
Yep.
That bill, which was now continued, that had to be in place, I believe, for this next bill to be considered. So what's the protocol procedure on that now?
Yeah, so theoretically you could proceed, but I would suggest it would make sense to continue them together since they are interrelated to some extent. So I think a motion to continue that would also be well considered.
So since 24, 25 is continued, then I think we would need a motion to continue.
We should read it again,
Okay,
I would say.
Yes, yeah, the second reading.
please.
Bill number 2426 is an ordinance amending Article 23 of Chapter 405, the zoning regulations of the municipal code of the city of Town and Country by enacting Section 405.1804 and granting a rezoning change of 11.58 acres to be known as Woods Mill Crossing, located at 14302 South Outer 40 Road, from its current commercial district to a planned non-residential development district for single-family residential and commercial retail uses, and approving a preliminary site development plan for same. And Mayor, before we do anything else, I'd like to enter a number of public comments into the record that were previously distributed to the board and will be attached to the minutes.
Thank you.
Number 1 is email and support from Dave Tobin, dated May 14th. Number 2 is email and support from Angela Alt, 14232 Manderley Woods, dated May 15th. Number 3 is email and support from Ben Rothmel, 14341 Manderley Woods Drive, dated May 15th. Number 4 is email and support from John Paul Royden, sorry about that, John, 14341 Manderley Woods Drive, dated May 16th. Number 5 is email and support from Sherry Canterman, 1748 Stifle Lane Drive, dated May 24th. Number 6 is letter in opposition from Bramble White, 32 Summerhill Lane, dated May 23rd, 5 pages. Number 7 is email and support from Becky Hundal, 14216 Manderley Woods Drive, dated May 24th. Number 8 is email and support from Amita Bala, 1759 Stifle Lane Drive, dated May 25th. Number 9 is email and support from Ted Hellman, 14236 Manderley Woods Drive, dated May 28th, 2 pages. And number 10 is email and support from Karen Kaufman, 719 Craffle Lane, dated May 28th.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So that before we continue, I would assume we still need a motion, second to approve, so. Second. Thank you. Then I think we need someone to propose that this be continued.
I'll motion this is continued until June 10th.
Thank you. Second, thank you. Any discussion on move to continue this to the June 15th?
Mayor, before you take the voice vote on that, you may decide to ask residents that have signed up if they'd still like to speak or.
What I was gonna do after that, assuming that this gets continued, what I was gonna say is that obviously, we have some people who want to speak for and against. And then when I was just gonna call each name, and if the person decides, hey, maybe I'd like to wait until it actually comes up for a vote, then I just won't come up. And if they still want to speak, feel free to come up. So I was just gonna go through it and roll through it like that and just see how it goes. So, thank you now. We need a roll call. We need a roll call. We just-
All in favor?
All in favor of the continuation?
Aye.
Okay, fine. And that will be continued, and then I'll read the names and said if you feel like, okay, I'm gonna speak, when it's up for the actual vote, then you don't need to come up. If you want to speak at this point, that's fine too. The first one is Jeannie Miller.
Mr. Mayor, I'm here on behalf of the applicants, and since the vote's been postponed, our team is here to answer any questions, if you have any, if the public has any, but I will reserve my comments until the next meeting when the vote happens.
Thank you. Next is Ted Hellman.
Oh, wait, please.
Thank you, sir. Julie Ledlock.
I will wait as well, thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Bridges.
I will wait as well.
Thank you, Ms. Bridges. Karen Guidera.
I'll wait.
Thank you, ma'am. Jolene Wishleski.
She's gonna wait also, thank you.
Thank you. Granville White.
I wait.
Thank you, sir. And Brad McLeod.
May I use all their time?
An emphatic no. So you have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I live in Manderley Woods now, and I have for the last 25 years. So I've had plenty of opportunity to form a point of view as to how things happen in the city of Town and Country. I'm not here to oppose any specific redevelopment. In fact, I highly doubt anybody in this room is more in favor of redeveloping that property than I am. I mean, I live literally 2 doors from the center as it exists today. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to improve that property. The concern I have, and as I've expressed in great detail in writing via email, and I think you've all had the opportunity to look at that, I don't want to regurgitate that tonight, but I want to share with you is, since sending you my detailed opposition, I've had an opportunity to talk to fellow residents of mine who I felt were supportive of this, thinking that I might be missing something. I don't want to be, a maverick. I'm not out here to make things difficult to move forward in the city of Town and Country. But I do have an overriding concern with what's happening in what I call west of 141. And I will acknowledge I had opposition back a few years ago to the redevelopment site just to the west of Town and Country Crossing, the housing development that in my mind is tract housing. In fact, I used to work for Bolton Homes, so I know what tracking housing is. I was concerned then, but not nearly, and I expressed my concerns, and obviously I lost that. I will tell you some of your former colleagues that sat on this board who supported it at the time have subsequently said to me, in hindsight, I have second thoughts. And the second thoughts really pertain to what is my primary opposition to this proposal before you now. And I want you to think about this, if you will. I'm asking you to, as an obligation and a duty you have to protect the standards, the values, and the property values of all residents of Town and Country. The last I looked, we are still a resident of the city of Town and Country, even though the majority of commerce in our city is in fact west of 41. And quite frankly, I can't cite for you the number of residents that reside west of 141, but in the city of Town and Country. But that doesn't matter to me. If it were one resident, I believe that resident has a right to expect you to be very thoughtful as a board and as city leadership in looking at the big picture and what impact it might have down the road. Right up the street on the other side, just to the south of us.
No, your 3 minutes is up.
Oh, okay.
Take another minute if needed, please.
I'd just like to make one other point. I think it's reasonable to assume at some point in time that the area now known as, I think, Charter Commons, Spectrum occupies it. Spectrum's going to leave someday, folks. And what are you going to approve to put in there? I mean, are we going to put more tract housing? I don't have to do the math for you. The proposal that's in front of you right now is clearly tract housing, defined by density. I worry about what are we going to surround the two subdivisions of, Mandalay and Cedar Springs going forward here. I ask you to seriously think about the standards and values that we're going to uphold that has made Town and Country a desirable place to live and preserve and protect our property values. I don't see how the existing proposal can do that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your coming to speak, and the only comment I'll have is, if there's any thought that the people on this board don't take these things seriously and don't put in a lot of thought, let me tell you, they put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of thought. They don't do anything that's cavalier or shoot from the hip. That's a very thoughtful group. I'm very proud to serve with them, to be honest with you.
And Mr. Mayor, I didn't mean to imply that that wasn't the case. I'm just asking you that.
That's fine, I got that. All right, did we finish that, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Could I ask, one question?
Sure.
Unfortunately, since we've already continued the item, it's not in front of you guys anymore. So I would suggest you email it perhaps to staff that could be forwarded on.
Okay.
Unless you
It was just a minor question.
I mean, you can allow it as the presider if you want. We just have to be very careful because the item's already been continued.
Continue, let's stay with our standard protocol. Okay. Next, bill number 24-27, sponsored by Alderman Murphy. Without objection, to the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2427 is an ordinance accepting the bid of Kendall Industries for the Drace Park Pavilion Replacement Project and authorizing an agreement for same. And again, Mayor, I'll be entering some public comments into the record and attaching them to the minutes that were previously distributed.
Okay.
The first one is an email in support from Steve Korbecki dated May 24th. And number 2 is an email in support from Meg Johnson dated May 28th.
Thank you. I seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
And I would invite the Parks Director for a brief presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. All right, I'll speak loudly. Thank you, Mayor. I was asked to just present briefly an overview of the item for the Drake's Park Pavilion. First, I'll start with the project goals. Our Parks and Trails Commission looked through this thoroughly. If you remember, this pavilion, some of you weren't on the board, but the pavilion burned down on the 4th of July last year due to fireworks meticulously collected from the ground and placed into a trash can, and so it therefore caused the fire. So we were looking for durable materials, an open structure without climbable railings, maximum utilization for the new playground that's at Drake's Park. We wanted to accommodate 2 additional picnic tables to host birthday parties, improve the air circulation underneath the pavilion, include electricity, which the previous pavilion did have, very important, and to include LED lighting, which was an upgrade, 2 ceiling fans, 4 electrical outlets at the columns, and then timers and switches for the lights and fans. The desire was to make sure that the new structure complemented the existing property and the existing structure, which is the restroom house, but it's a very nice restroom if you have not seen it. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that we were complementary to the stone base of the restrooms and the brown color of the structure and the roof of that structure. And then last but certainly not least, to stay under the budget of $235,114, and that's budgeted in the Parks and Stormwater Fund. We had a number of public meetings, so from the 4th of July until October 2nd, we needed to go through the process of getting the estimates and then submitting those to the insurance company. We started meeting then right away with the Parks and Trails Commission, October, November, January, March, April, May, going through each of the project objectives and working through those, and then ultimately working through the bids that we received. And as far as the board, this obviously is our second meeting for the Board of Aldermen. As far as financial considerations, our insurance reimbursement was $145,759 plus the $5,000 deductible, which was paid by the offenders. Our Parks and Stormwater Fund project budget, I reviewed in the previous slide. The 3 alternates that you see in your packet include a standing seam metal roof, which is what we have on the pavilion at Town Square. Roof decking, which is the underneath portion of the roof of the pavilion. So we have that at Town Square and at Longview. And then also stone post wrapping on the base of the posts. And just to walk you through this slide, the bottom right picture is the structure that we're looking at. I pulled a couple of other pictures because it didn't show the detail of each of the alternates very well. So the top left shows the standing seam roof. The top right has a nice view of the underneath roof decking. And then that bottom right, of course, is the style, and then it shows the stone post wrapping as well. The dimensions for the pavilion are 24 feet wide by 34 feet long, 14 feet from the ground to the peak roof, and then just about 8 feet from the ground to the lower eave of the roof. I'm sure you saw up here that it's a split roof style to allow for better ventilation during parties. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just a couple of things. I've heard some concerns about the transparency of the process. That there were no pictures anywhere available, like on the website of what you were looking at, or Drake's Park. Did you solicit the input from the residents who live around Drake's Park, and maybe people who actually frequent Drake's Park a lot?
We did not have, so for our park master planning process, for example, we go through the process of multiple open houses and soliciting that feedback. And for the park pavilion structure, we go through the process of the Parks and Trails Commission meetings, which are all public meetings, but there was not specific outreach to residents near Drake's Park.
Yeah. I've heard some concerns regarding the design of it, predominantly that it doesn't necessarily fit the nature of the park. And I know you didn't have public hearings, but unless you're on Notify Me, you're not going to go to a commission meeting because you don't really know when they were. So that's their fault for not being on Notify Me, I guess. The other question I've got is the budget of $235,114. How did you arrive at that? Because normally budgets are like to the $1,000, maybe $500, not $114.
So that was a quote solicited during the budget process last year. And so while it's not a bid, it's as close a number as we had at the time.
Okay, so yeah, that was based on a quote to replace the.
Correct.
Okay, because it just seemed odd that $114 on a budget item like that. Was there a reason to go with the rectangular as opposed to an octagonal?
The commission thought it was important to be able, the previous pavilion seated 4 picnic tables under it. And so they wanted to expand the seating a little more to be able to accommodate 6 to 8 picnic tables. And the size of the previous, it was really more of a gazebo style pavilion, if you will. The size of that, as you make that larger, many felt that it sort of starts to look like a carousel or something else other than a gazebo. So that, and then also the shape, that octagon shape is a little harder for seating picnic tables. So the rectangular shape, people thought that was an advantage. And then also the space where it sits, we don't have any other octagon structures in the park. So we sort of have 3 log cabins. We have the restroom facility. The playground is more of a free flow form. Those were the main reasons for the rectagon shape, rectangular shape.
I
Easy for me to
assume
say.
it's also considerably more fire resistant. Yeah.
We talked a lot about materials, yes, yeah, we did.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nixon, for the presentation, to provide some perspective on it. For many people who have not been to Drake's, go there. It's a beautiful park. Our colleague on the board here was instrumental in getting the old buildings lined up and moved over there. So it's a unique environment in that it has a level of celebration of history, the past, as well as, the modern aspects as well. Great walking park. It does kind of back into some residential as well, so you can see the backyards of many of our community, if you will. So a couple things on the design though. The bathroom structure, which is probably the dominant structure near the pavilion, as I recall, that had kind of a stone level, if you will, the first maybe the bottom 4 to 5 feet, I guess.
Correct.
Some of that is all right. Okay. So that's probably consistent with the pavilion and all that. I think one of the things that one of the commission members talked a little bit about was we have a new playground at Trace as well, which has been just a fascinating place for kids to enjoy, run around, jump around, and do all sorts of great things. It's a safe environment as well. But I think one of the telling things that one of our commission members talked about was that the old octagonal structure had railings as well. But the challenge is that what kids like to do, they run around and jump on railings and walk on railings. And all of a sudden that creates heart attack and anxiety for the parents, and that's not a good thing. So I know that the commission was talking about using a more open design to allow for kids to kind of run back and forth, in and out without banging and stuff or falling off structures and all that kind of stuff. Were there any other aspects that were family aspects that you can recall from the commission comments? In terms of even, having family celebrations or activities, that type of thing, that was essential to the design?
Most people with young children know that Drace Park is the best place to have a little kid's birthday party because it's not as busy as Longview. Everyone loves Longview, but everyone loves Longview. And so if you want to have a birthday party, Drace really is a great place for it. And a number of the commission members had that in mind, especially with the new popular playground, to make sure that we build something that's really usable for young families, since that's kind of the target market for that park.
Yeah, it's an interesting park because it's kind of partitioned off too. So there's a walking area which is behind all the bathroom facilities. My last question for you, and I hate to put you on the spot on this, but even a ballpark would be helpful. Before the fire, the accident, all that kind of stuff, in terms of utilization, rentals at Drace and all that, could you give a little bit of a perspective in terms of how active it was, how much of a popular destination point it was in the city of Town and Country?
So we rent pavilions April through October, and almost every Saturday and Sunday, Drace Pavilion is rented. And so that amounts to about $5,600 in rental revenue per season from Drace.
And my last comment, I said I had one question, but I'm adding one more, is that I do know that on the website, you do have postings on all the designs and all that kind of stuff. So again, if people didn't make it to any of the meetings earlier, they all have public access to that. Certainly it has been up for several days now, the designs.
Yes, and in addition, it was brought to our attention at the Parks and Trails meeting last week that someone would like to see this meeting posted, as well as the pavilion pictures at Drace Park. And so those were posted last week as well at the site, so that anyone who wanted to come this evening could come.
Anybody have any, I'm going on and on, I apologize. Anybody have any anecdotal feedback from people that might have seen it at the park?
I did not.
Alderman Allison.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to assume the materials are non-flammable. I'm not trying to be funny.
Right,
But-
so yes.
But
The wood decking underneath is wood. However, the commission felt that was important to, Drace has log cabins, so they really wanted to make sure that it was a little bit softer and less commercial than what the underneath side of a steel structure looks like.
And then does our insurance adjust to the greater, I mean, I'm assuming our infrastructures are insured.
Correct, we
So we
adjust
will
those
have a
annually.
much greater coverage should something ever happen again. Because
Correct.
we, when you collect insurance, you like to think it's replacing, but it's not. Because it just isn't that way anymore. Okay, and as far as rental, is the cost for residents to rent, say for a birthday party, what is the cost?
It's $100 per day.
Is it the same for non-residents?
It's more expensive for non-residents.
Good, how much?
I believe Dre's is 200 per day. Each pavilion is double for non-residents.
Thank you.
Any other further discussion? Alderman Wheeling.
Just to follow up on Alderman point real quick, the rentals though, I mean, we a year and a half ago, we changed it to just, as you point out, the daily rentals. So, I mean, you were anticipating an increase of revenue even with a fewer number of rentals because of the increase in rates. But it's going to still limit the actual use of the pavilions. I mean, there's still time that if it's open, somebody's allowed to use it, but it doesn't, it limits it to just one per day as opposed to 2 or even 3 rentals per day like we had before. So this would still be used, but not used as heavily as it was prior to 2023.
Correct.
I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Schwer,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan,
Aye.
Alderman Harder,
Nay.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Steinbeitel,
Aye.
and Alderman Kinsella.
Nay.
The bill passes 6-2 and becomes ordinance number 4633.
Thank you very much. Next bill number 24-28, sponsored by Alderman Weezahan. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2428 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a professional services agreement with Navigate Building Solutions for pre-planning and consultant services associated with the facility needs assessment for the municipal center and firehouse.
Thank you. Seek a motion and second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment on that? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Weezahan,
Aye.
Alderman Schwer,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella,
Aye.
Alderman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Harder,
Aye.
and Alderman Steinbeitel.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4634.
Thank you. Next, moving on to new business, bill number 24-29, will be sponsored by the board as a whole without objection. Would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2429 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with Pace Construction Company for the 2024 asphalt pavement program.
Thank you. Bill number 24-29 is continued to the meeting of Monday, June 10th, 2024, for the second reading and consideration. Next bill number 24-30, perhaps sponsored by Alderman Allen and Murphy. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2430 is an ordinance approving a 22nd amended final site development plan for the development known as Maryville University, City of Town and Country, Missouri, with conditions to be complied with and authorizing certification of the 22nd amended final site development plan.
Thank you. Bill number 24-30 is continued to the meeting of Monday, June 10th, 2024, for the second reading and consideration. Next, approval of liquor licenses as listed and distributed in the packet. I seek a motion and second to approve. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The warrant list is very small, $89,134.33. Seek a motion and second to approve. Any discussion or amendment? Alderman Hughes.
I believe there were 3 there.
Sounds right. Michael, 3 deer?
Yes.
Yes.
Where were they taken?
Manderley Woods, Bolton Country Club Drive, and Northern Drive.
Okay, that does, actually, the vote does. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Any other discussion?
thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Seems to carry unanimously. I don't have other topics. Leave it open for the board. Alderman Allen?
Mayor, thank you. I did ask Mr. Shelton today, and there have been some bills passed by the legislature which could impact the city revenues. And he said that Ms. Shelton, Ashley, and maybe Joanne, but it's being looked at, and as soon as the timing is such to know what is really going to be in force, then we will have that update, and hopefully we'll have something by Ways and Means
Great.
to know how it impacts our revenues.
Alderman Hughes?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say congratulations on your appointment to board president. You're here.
Thank you.
I seek a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved, second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
I'm going to give you